Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gungurubhyo Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Ramachandraya. Om Namo Bhagavate Jisukhristaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Sri Paramatmane Namaha. Om Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Atmane Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryesu Sarvada Ya Kundendu Tusarahara Dhavala Ya Subhravastra Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara Ya Sveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachyuta Shankara Prabhuti Devaihi Sada Vandita Samang Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisesa Jadyapaha Namah Shivanandaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nisprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapaha Na Guru Radhikam Jnanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurudevo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Dhyanamoolam Guror Murti Pujamoolam Guroh Padam Mantramulam Guror Vakyam Mokhyamoolam Guroh Krupa Isvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Omkaram Bindu Sanjuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha Kamadam Okshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namaha Divi bhumau tatha kase bahirantascha me vibhu yo vibhatyo bhasatma tasmai sarvatmane namaha Om Sri Paramatmane namaha Om Parabrahmane namaha Om Atmane namaha Revered Self, we have been going through these questions. Yesterday, I think we were discussing about the principles that we should follow while doing charity according to Indian scriptures. That also I think I have gone through. And the other questions which are there, these are from David Longini, USA. What is the purpose, if any, of material existence after self-realization? Is there anything to do or to be done, or simply experience it without attachment for the joy of existence? You are asking, what is the purpose, if any, of material existence after self-realization? Actually, there is no purpose after realization has been obtained, after one has realized. It is just, you see, to continue as such. One has to continue as such. Whatever he is, whatever is his realization, and whatever he thinks of himself, just he has to continue, because he has fulfilled the purpose of life, purpose of all spiritual endeavor. Then there is nothing else for him to do. Since he has already realized, there is nothing for him to do. So, but then, just to continue as such, you see, and as per God's will. When a person has realized, he becomes one with God, or he has the experience of God. Then you see, at that time, he doesn't have anything to do of his own, but whatever is the God's will, you see, that will work. He leaves it to God. In whatever way God wants to utilize him, or to drive him in whatever way, that actually, you see, that is what he does. He doesn't do anything on his own. He doesn't have to do anything. So he just allows things to happen as they are, or they will, and then as God decides, whatever is God's will, he just follows that. But from his point of view, he doesn't have to do anything. And he continues like this until the body falls. His body has to remain. Even if he has realized, the body will continue according to his past karmas. So, until the body falls, he just continues like that. And then he also, what the body will continue so long as he has got some karmas of the past still to be realized or to be exhausted. So to exhaust the remaining karmas, he just remains as it is. Although he has nothing to gain from that, but he just allows it to remain. The body will remain until all his karmas are exhausted. So that is why he doesn't do anything. He is not interested in anything, nor worried about anything, and he just allows it to happen as it will happen, as per God's will. That is what the realized person will do. And he says that, we say, what is it? He has nothing to do or to be done by him. And and is there anything to do or to be done? He has nothing to do nor anything to be done by him. That is what, since he has already finished the work of his life, whatever is required to be done, he has already done. Unless he has finished all that, you see, he would not be having realization. So he has completed all his remaining work. Only if any remnant is there, anything which is still to be exhausted, still to be, you see, experienced, it will come and it will go like this. But he is not concerned with that, nor worried about that. He doesn't do anything also about that. He just remains as he is. And he says, or simply experience it without attachment to the joy of existence. Yes, he will not have any, you see this. He just experience, he just exists, just has experience of things that come, without his, you see this, any attachment. Even attachment for joy of existence also will not be there at that time. He is not concerned whether joy is there or it is not there. It makes no difference for him. But he just continues as it is, as per God's will. Whatever God wants him to do or wants him to experience, all that he will do like this. But from his point of view, he has nothing to do. Nothing to do of his own, you see. Next question. Once an individual soul has seen and experienced the real, beyond ability to doubt, what is left for that soul? Is the only option left to resolve your karma and exit the plane, or to become a teacher and guru for those who have not seen? Or may some still choose to simply enjoy the flawed and impermanent existence with continual knowledge of its falseness? This is the question. Once an individual has seen and experienced the real beyond the ability to doubt, or beyond scope to doubt, so what is left for that soul? Nothing. Nothing is left for him to do. Only the body, etc. will remain, and body continues as it is. Whatever is there until the body exhausts all the karmas or experiences all the remaining karmas, the body will continue. So he doesn't have to do anything. Is the only option left to resolve your karma and exit the plane? Yes. It is only to exhaust the remaining karmas which are there. That is the only purpose. Because unless the karmas are exhausted, he cannot be totally free. He cannot leave the body. The body will remain like this. Or to become a teacher and guru for those who have not seen. He doesn't have to become a teacher. That is not the purpose of life, to become a teacher and guru for those who have not seen. If those who have not seen, he need not worry about them. And see, he doesn't have to become a teacher in order to teach others and then to grant them liberation or to come to the spiritual path, etc. It is not his duty. If he feels that there is some duty, he has the duty, then I will consider that still he has some desire. It is not there. A person who has realized, he will have no desire for anything. But if some people come and for asking some help or some question or something about some guidance about the spiritual path, that he will do. Only if others ask. He doesn't have to go to anybody and say that, yes, I will teach you, will you like to come, and etc. And then these things are not necessary. There is no need for him to approach somebody for teaching that person. It is not necessary, that should not be. He doesn't have to become a teacher and guru for those who have not seen. But if some people come, somebody comes and then asks him about the spiritual world, he can guide at that time. And not from our side. It is not necessary. Because he doesn't have any more duty to do in this world. He doesn't have to do any other work. He has completed all his work. That is why he is now free and he has realized. This is it. And it is only if others want something from him, if the others ask some questions, some doubt for clarification, that he can do. That's what he should do. Otherwise, on his own, he should be in his own self only. He not to worry about others or thinking about others, etc. Or may some still choose to simply enjoy the flawed and impermanent existence with continual knowledge of its falseness. Yes. Once he has realized that it is all is impermanent and flawed, etc., and then there is no need for him to worry about that. And he will just continue as it is, without this, simply enjoy. We call it enjoy or whatever you say, he will be just not worried about anything. He will be in his own self and he will be experiencing the joy of his own self. This is what it is very true. And then also, always he will be aware that it is all this, this flawed and impermanent existence. And he will have also the continual knowledge of its falseness. That means all that thing we see, that is not real, that is unreal, or it is false. And this conviction he will be having, this knowledge also he will be having, and he will be continuing like that. This awareness will be there with him, and just he will just be what he is and see what things come to him, etc. And if he has anything to do, anybody needs any help from him, that he will give. This is what a realized person will do at that state. Next question. Do our individual acts on the path affect others? For instance, in devotion, prayer, or our own realizations, does an individual's soul's recognition affect others, or is each soul's path separate? Do our individual acts on the path affect others? Yes, they affect others to some extent, because we are all intellect. We all live together. Our life is dependent on others to some extent. Similarly, others' life also is dependent on us. It is always a mutual thing. So that is why it is interdependent to some extent, not fully. And then we say, so our individual acts on the path, they affect others. If we are close to somebody, we move with somebody, whatever we do, it will have some impact or some, this impression on others. This is what, to that extent it will be there. But once a person has got his own understanding correctly, and then his own realization, and then he is established in his own self, it will not affect others. he will not be affected by others. This is what he says. So, since we live all together, our acts, our life, and others' acts and life also will be mutually interrelated, interdependent also. So it will be affected by each other mutually to some extent. It is not that this is this. Does an individual, you say that for instance, in devotion, prayer, or our own realizations? Yes, devotion, prayer, and our own realizations also have something to bear upon others. Others, so see, to some extent, it will be. It depends on our own devotion, prayer, and etc., and our connection with others. Does an individual soul's recognition affect others, or is each soul's path separate? As we just discussed, you see, they are not entirely separate. Because we live together, we move together, our thoughts and ideas also will be affected, or will be influenced by others to some extent. Our thoughts also will influence others. Like that it will happen. So to some extent, but not entirely. If a person has already proper understanding and he recognizes and then has his own realization, and if he is strong enough, he has a strong will and etc., he will not be affected by others. This is what is it. But otherwise, it is always affected. Just as you see in a family, so many people are there. What each person is doing, what each person is thinking, has some bearing on others. They are, all mutually dependent, mutually related, and also affected to some extent. It will happen because we live together. If you are living independently, alone, and have nothing to do with anybody else, then it will not affect others. But our thoughts also can influence others. If our thoughts are strong, and then they are very focused fully, then this person's mind and then intellect and the thoughts will be a little stronger. So they will be able to affect others. Our thoughts also can influence others to some extent. But if other person is strong enough, then whatever is our way of thinking or our power, etc., he will not be disturbed by that, it will not affect him. It depends on the other person's state of mind and the power of our own thoughts, like that. These things actually will determine to what extent it will affect others. Similarly, our realizations also will be to some extent having a bearing on others. Another question. Will truly seeing the real and separating it from the unreal ruin the experience of the unreal? This actually, the unreal will not be ruined by anything. Our seeing and seeing the real will not affect the unreal in any way, because unreal has its own importance, has its own power. Because unreal also appears to us by God's will only. So unreal is also there by God's will. And the real is also, of course, by God's will. So truly seeing the real and separating from the unreal, it will not ruin, but we will, be able to prevent our being ruined by that unreal. Unreal will not be able to ruin us, that is sure. Because you are aware about yourself, and also you know that what is your strength and what is the understanding, what is the state of affairs, what things are as they are. All these things you are able to know. So the unreal will not be able to affect us. But then our knowing the real will not ruin the unreal. But in one way, yes. because for us, unreal will not be present anymore. Once you have come to know that it is unreal, it has no real status, no real existence. So for us, unreal will not have any effect on us. And then unreal also will cease to be, because it is only when we know that it is unreal, it will not have any more existence for us, any more value for us, any more force for us. To that extent, you see, unreal will be ruined, but then it will not ruin us. To that extent, unreal will not be, you see, whether and separating from the, will truly seeing the real and separating it from the unreal, ruin the experience of the unreal. If you say that ruin the experience of the unreal, that means you see, you are worried. If the unreal will be ruined, that means you are going to lose something, etc. We use the word ruin only, you see, when something wrong happens to us, something wrong about the things that we want. Yes, it has not been available, or it is not there. I have lost it, so it has been ruined. But if the unreal is ruined, we are in a better position. It helps us. So we need not worry about we need not use the word ruin here. But then you see this, but this unreal, you see, will not be there anymore. This on the other way, you see, contrarily, unreal will not be able to create any problem for others, for us afterwards. Once we know that what is unreal, what is the real, and then the unreal has no value on its own, then you see, unreal will not be able to create any problem for us. We will not be troubled by the unreal anymore. This is what is there, it is true. If you say that unreal ruin will be, it is like this, yes. But then we should not be sorry for that. If, oh, the unreal has been lost for me, so it has been ruined. When somebody says that, you see, all his property, prosperity, etc. has been ruined, then we see that something good has been actually lost. But here it is just the opposite. We need not say that, you see, but then it will be a good thing. Unreal will not be able to have any hold over us anymore. Once we know that it is unreal, and then we will be established in the real and have full knowledge, confidence because of this real, then it will not create any problem for us. The material world may be flawed and impermanent, full of suffering, but we all choose to be here. We may be like Indra when turned into a pig, but it is still a chosen experience. Will that experience be ruined by full understanding of the real? Yes. The unreal, you see, the unreal world may be flawed and impermanent, full of suffering, but we all choose to be here. We choose to be here, you see, because we choose to be here, that is the cause of all our suffering. Because we think that unreal has still some value, it has some importance for us. That is why we, unreal, actually we give so much importance to it. But then it is also true that, you see, we all choose to be here, not because of our own, you see, this choice. By our decision, we don't decide to be here. It is all by our own past karmas, by God's will, that we are here in this world. It is not that we have chosen to be here in this world. It is not our discretion nor our decision. This we must understand. It is not that by our choice we are here. We are here actually helplessly. Whatever we see we have done in the past, because of that God has placed us in this particular situation, in this particular world. So this is not our choice, but it is actually God's decision. God has decided to be here. Now that we should be here. It is still a chosen experience. It is not a chosen experience. It is an experience which we undergo helplessly. We are forced to be here and also undergo these experiences by our own past karmas, by our own deeds, etc. It is still in a chosen experience, but it is not a chosen experience. Will that experience be ruined by full understanding of the real? Yes. The experience of the unreal will not be there anymore. We will have a correct understanding of the unreal, and we know that it has no value. Although it appears to be there, it is still will not be able to create any problem for us once we have got correct understanding. So it is like at that time it will be a paper tiger. If it's a paper tiger, you see, tiger will not create any problem for us. But only if we know that it is a paper tiger. So long as we don't know, we think that it is a tiger, it will create problem for us in our mind. For example, for a child, a paper tiger is a real tiger. And if we also have the same understanding or same experience, same view, then it will create problem. But for a person who has got correct understanding, an elderly person, a paper tiger will not create any problem. That's what it happens like this. So, but it is still a chosen experience. Will that experience be ruined by the full understanding of that? No, we were reading. Yes. So, it is that also that experience. It is not that we have chosen the experience by God's will. We are all here, and we are experiencing that. That will be once we know that, you see, this have some idea about of the real, and experience of the real is still more. If that we are still more fortunate and advanced in a higher position. But then unreal will not be able to create any problem. We will know the reality or the actual position or value of the unreal once we have understood this. So we will. So this is what we say. Yes, that type of experience will not be there. Will not be there any longer. That taking the unreal as the real, that experience will not be there anymore once we know what is the real and also the nature of the unreal. Then that experience, what we were having earlier, that unreal is true, unreal has it's a great importance, it is a source of trouble for us, all those things will not be there afterwards. That is what we should do, unreal. So, in that sense, you see, you can say that thought or impression of that unreal will be ruined. That you can say to that extent, from that point of view. How does it become possible to see the real? Not only knowledge and faith, but also through your senses or beyond your senses. Does it happen in parts or by choice? Or if we see through the veil, is it permanently broken? How does it become possible to see the real? It is not only knowledge and faith, but also through your senses or beyond your senses. We cannot see it through the senses. Senses cannot reach the real. The real cannot be experienced, or we cannot have knowledge of we cannot see the real through our senses. We must know. Senses have no access to that. It happens, and so it is only when all our senses are, you see, calm. In the Upanishad also it is there. When, you see, all our senses are calm, and then all the senses, our intellect, and even all the other organs they are calm, at that time only we will be able to realize experience the real, etc. And other things are there also. So, through the senses, and then you see, or we cannot see the real. The real has to be seen only through the mind, when the mind is calm and it is focused on that real, contemplating on the real continuously and say in a very intensive manner. At that time only we will be able to realize or see the real. The real cannot be seen through the senses. Senses have no reach up to, they have no power to reach the real. This we must know. In Upanishad also it is said, when all our sense organs, our mind and the intellect are calm, they are still, at that time we will be able to realize the real. We will be able to perceive the real or experience the real. This we should understand. So, through the senses we cannot realize them. We cannot see the real. Does it happen in parts or by choice? Or if we see through the veil, is it permanently broken? It doesn't happen in parts. You see, although in parts, you see, we make a little progress towards that. But when everything is gone, you see, we have reached the state, the final state, at that time, in a flash, you see, we will be able to have a glimpse of that real. It doesn't happen in parts. Although the path to that particular state, you see, it is gradual. And little by little we have to practice and we have to prepare ourselves for that. But once we are able to reach the particular state, at that time the whole thing will be, the veil will be permanently broken. As you said, the veil is there. For breaking the veil, it is only you just pull the curtain, then you see you have seen it. You don't have to do it part by part by part by it. But for reaching that particular state, we'll have to go little by little. We have to prepare ourselves for that. Then only in a flash, that particular, you see, the veil will be, whether you call torn, or it will be removed, and then we will have a glimpse of that real. So this is the veil it is. So, does it happen in parts or by choice? Yes, it doesn't happen in parts. Although the journey to that particular state has to be by parts. Little we move. And then, or by choice. Yes, it is by choice. By choice means, you see, that we have to make the effort for that. It is not that it will come from heaven. God will tell you, you see me like this. So God will not tell us. We have to make effort to, you see Him. So it is our choice in one sense that we have to put in efforts for reaching God. But at the same time, it is not entirely our choice. It is not that by our choice we can see God. It will not happen that way. If we are prepared, we have made the proper preparations, then you see we will be able to realize. So it is not our choice. It is God's will also, God's decision also to some extent. But for having that decision of God, the God's, you see, this, what you call, you see, this, by His grace, all that is, for that we have to do something. So, to that extent, it is our choice that we have to make efforts. But God will not be visible to us, or we cannot have realization just by our choice. It is not possible. But if we have made the preparations, we have put in the right efforts, then in course of time we will have it. So that is how we have to understand it. And we can see through, when you can see through the veil when it is permanently broken. But for breaking the veil, you see, we have to do all our efforts for that. Although for removing the veil, it doesn't take much time. But reaching that state also, but all the, you see, things that we do to pull the curtain, you see, or you see, take out the curtain, all efforts have to be made by us. Next one. Is the surrender and recognition of the falseness of the ego mind a preparation for surrender of the soul itself to eliminate all individual experience? Yes, it is this for the surrender and recognition of the falseness of the ego mind a preparation for surrender of the soul. That is actually a preparation for that, for removing the surrender and recognition of the falseness of the ego mind, a preparation for self, for surrender. Yes, it is a preparation for the surrender. So first we will have to recognition of this falseness of the ego mind, and also surrendering it. It is a preparation for surrender. It is surrender of the soul itself to eliminate all individual existence. We will not say for existence, elimination of individuals' existence, but elimination of individual consciousness. Or you see this thinking that I am somebody, etc. About this, you see this, the thinking that I am somebody and the play of the ego and etc. That is all that has to be eliminated. And but then individual existence will not be removed, but our individual consciousness, thinking that I am a separate individual, I am a limited individual, I am separate from others, the world is outside me, world is also separate from me. All these things come because of our individual consciousness. And but our individual existence will be there, but our awareness of this individual consciousness, or you see the work of the individual consciousness will not be there at that time. That is how we should. It is only when that this, you see, this individual existence, it will be individual consciousness. Consciousness thinking that you see I am a separate individual and limited individual, all the things which are there, that is required to be eliminated. But our existence will continue. We are, until you see, that is all by God's will. Whatever we are, whatever God has created of us, made of us, so we will be continuing like this. Our individual existence will be there, but our awareness that we are an individual being or individual consciousness, that will not be there. That will become a higher individual. For the soul is still not separate. For the soul itself is still not separate, so true reality would eliminate all separate perception. Yes, so you see, our actually thinking that we have a separate existence, it itself is erroneous. That is not correct. It's a mistake. And then you see the soul itself is still not separate. So true reality would eliminate all separate perception. All wrong or you see incorrect perception will be removed. Once we see the real, once we have the understanding of the reality, at that time you see this all our wrong perception or incorrect perception will not be there. For the soul itself, it is still not separate, so true reality would eliminate all separate perception. Yes, understanding or realization of the true reality, that will actually take away or remove all our separate thinking that we are separate beings, we are separate limited individual, that will be actually eliminated by the seeing of the reality. Given that we then do nothing, is it not the purpose, is it not the universe speaking through us to see the real? Given that we then do nothing, is it not the universe speaking through us to see the real? If so, do we play any part on our journey home, or are we simply being led there like a movie we pretend to direct? Here you see this. Given that we then do nothing, is it not the universe speaking through us to see the real? Yes, the universe is actually prompting us. It is giving us the guidance that we have to see the universal. Like that is there, to see the real. This is correct, true. It is only the universal or God Himself, or you see this this universe speaking through us to see the real. Some prompting is there because of that from the universe. Because otherwise, you see, left to ourselves, we will be where we are. We will not have any, you see, awareness of anything else. No impulse to change also. It will be there only. So all this comes, it is only from the universal, from the universe, or from God Himself. God gives this prompting to us to be free from the present state of limitation or of present state of our view of things. But then that is how he gives us an inspiration. He gives us a prompting. So it is by God's grace only. This is called God's grace. God wants that we should realize Him. We should go towards Him. And we should not be limited to our present way of thinking or present limited existence. We must know what is our real nature and real state, and what exactly our relation to the universe, or relation to the world, or relation to God. All those things we must know correctly. That is a prompting from God, from the universe. It is actually God's grace. It is only by God's grace that such ideas or thoughts come to us. To not be limited to what our present thinking, but to think of something beyond, something higher, so that we realize our own real self, or to perceive or experience the reality. Experience God, experience the universal. God actually calling us, like this we can say that. Do we play any part on our journey home, or are we simply being led there like a movie we pretend to direct? We have to play a part, in our journey. If we don't do that, etc., nothing will come to us. But so the effort has to be made by us. At the same time, there should be grace of God. It is only by God's grace that we think of God, or we are thinking of, this improving ourselves present way of thinking or present understanding. So it is by God's grace that we are led to think of that. So it is by universe calling us, speaking through us, yes, to that extent, to see the real. That is true. It is only by God's will, God's grace, and the universe helping us or prompting us to see the real. Do we play any part on our journey home, or are we simply being led there, etc.? No, we play a part. If we do not play a part, otherwise, everybody will be able to see God, or nobody will be able to see God. Because if you don't do anything, persons who take some steps in that direction, they take this step towards that. They are different from the other people who are just, millions of people are just there, not being aware of anything, not doing anything, being satisfied with whatever they are having or they are getting it now. They are presently satisfied with their lot. That is not sufficient. A spiritual seeker has to actually take a conscious decision and make a conscious effort for that. That is why. So that distinguishes the spiritual seeker from other people, other human beings, other humanity. This is what it is. So it is only by God's grace that we are able to. So we have to play a part on our journey home back. If we want to, you have gone abroad to some place, etc. You want to come back, or somebody else wants you to come back home. We want to come back home. We take an effort, step in that direction, make an effort for that. Similarly, our journey back home to God, that also we have to like to reach God, and also have to take some steps for that. So the step has to be taken by us. Initiative has to be taken by us. And then if the step has to be taken, then God's grace will come. God will also help us. But the initial, taking step also, that comes by God's grace only. It is only when God wills that this individual soul has suffered a lot, and let him now come to me, and let him have rest, peace of mind and happiness. All those things God prompts us to do all that. So it is by God's will and God's blessing. And then we cannot just remain like that. Then we have to take efforts. We make efforts by first God's will and inspiration. Thereafter, we also have to continue the journey as much as possible by praying to God and also depending on Him and asking for His grace. All those things we will have to do that. It's a mutual thing. But without God's grace, nothing will happen. But without our doing anything, nothing will happen. That also we must know. Both are necessary. So they say that individual effort of the person concerned, individual soul, and also God's grace. They are interrelated. And both are necessary. Without any one of them, it will not succeed. This we must know. In the scriptures, are there instances where a soul is forcibly rejoined at the end of a day and night of Brahma, an age or otherwise? At the end of a day or night of Brahma, an age or otherwise? Or is the illusion of time and mounting suffering always used until a soul is ready to release itself from separation? A soul will not be forcibly rejoined. This is what you see, hoping too much, you see. That we don't have to do anything, forcibly we will, made to rejoin or will make us rejoin. That will not happen. This rejoining will be possible only if we deserve it, if we do something for that, if there is eagerness, sincerity, and some sincere efforts are also made, then only this will be possible. So this we must understand, that nobody will be forced. We will not be forced to rejoin. And if you think that yes, we will be forced to rejoin and just you remain, don't do anything, then you see it will not work. We have to, if we will be lucky, you see, if we are forced to rejoin somebody, you see, just by abundant grace, somebody, whether you call it God or somebody, he will actually force us to be rejoined there. If you are so lucky, but God will not do like that, you see. If we deserve, He will do that. And for, you see, having to be forced by God to rejoin, for that we must deserve it. We must do our individual efforts. That keenness of aspiration has to be there. And then you see, we have to make some efforts also, as much as possible. And then God's grace will come. God will force us thereafter. And it is possible at some cases our efforts are not enough. We won't be able to do. Just by our effort we cannot reach God. God's grace is also necessary. Help from God is also necessary. God's blessings are also necessary. They are required. God's grace. All the things there. But all these will come only if we do something. Whatever is possible on our part, to go on that path and also try to do whatever is possible on our part, then God will do it. What has to be done, you see, that you have to, that's a different topic altogether, detailed thing. But this is what is necessary. If there is sincerity from us, and if keenness, aspiration, and we also make some effort for that, including praying to God for His grace, then you see God's grace will come. Then we will be, at that time, probably forcibly rejoined. How does the mind and senses create the unreal or experience the unreal? How can it be altered, changed, or stopped for the purposes of seeing, sense-wise, the real? How does the mind and senses create the real or experience the unreal? This is due to ignorance. Because of the ignorance of the mind, you see, the mind and senses create the unreal. Create unreal means they think that the unreal is real. They think that, you see, unreal as something. And they are also able to perceive the unreal. If it is unreal, it will not be possible for us to perceive it. But the unreal we take as real, and therefore we are able to perceive it. So it is because of our ignorance, because of the ignorance of the mind and the senses. They, by their they imagine that there is something, whatever they say, it appears, something appears to us, we think as real. The unreality that appears to us, we take it as real. And then we start building up on that, imagining so many things. By imagination and also seeing the unreal as the real, all the things are, it is all because of ignorance. So because of ignorance, the experience, unreal is experienced by us. How can it be altered, changed, or stopped for the purpose of seeing the sense-wise the real? Sense-wise, we cannot see the real. Through the senses, we cannot see the real. This we must understand. We can see the real only through the mind. When the mind is totally purified, mind is concentrated and fully, focused on the real, and turning away from all the things which are unreal. And then, if we go on doing like that, then it will be possible to see the real. Through the senses, we cannot see the real, and also through the mind, we cannot experience the real. The mind as it is now, in our present state of the mind, we cannot see the real. It is only when the mind is purified through all these spiritual practices or other things that we do, when the mind is totally purified, mind is calm, it is not disturbed, it is fully focused on the object of our quest, on the real, then it will be possible for us to do it. So that preparation has to be done by us. That is why we must. It can be altered, changed, or stopped for the purpose of seeing the unreal. This is the way. First, we must think that unreal has no existence, number one. We should not think of the unreal as the real. And secondly, we should think that it is the, our welfare lies in discarding the unreal or stopping to see the unreal as the real. These are the things which have to be done by us. If we do that, then automatically the unreal will not have any existence. It will not have any reality for us, and it will not have any value. Then we will be able to proceed towards the real, that it is possible. This is how we have to do. At that time, the senses, not through the senses we can see the real, not as through our eyes as we see each other. These eyes can see only the gross objects. Eyes cannot see the real, because the real is not an object of our perception. It is only when the mind, the senses are totally stopped. They stop functioning. Mind also is steady, and mind also is ceases working in its, this normal perceptions of sense objects and etc. When the mind is able to stop altogether, at that time, through that mind only we will be able to see God. When the mind is purified, mind is also focused in God and totally absorbed in God contemplation, then we will be able to see that, perceive God. So, through the mind only we can see God, not through the senses. Mind also, when the mind is purified and also it is fully keen about that reality and also fully focused in that, then only we will be able to see that. This is what we should do. For what purpose does a soul experience the unreal? Does it choose to? Is it sent to do it? Is it simply playing a part in the grand drama of God? Is it educating itself? Different parts of the question are there. For what purpose does a soul experience the unreal? The soul experiences because it wants enjoyment. It wants, thinking that the objects of sense or the unreal has some value, and then it gives us happiness or enjoyment. That is why the soul is actually trying to do that through the mind. So it has been actually experienced. Does it choose to? Yes, it is only by our choice that you see we are doing, going towards these sense objects or towards the unreal, thinking that it is real, and because we feel that it's a source of enjoyment for us. This is because of ignorance. And of course, by God's will also it happens. Because in our present state of mind and evolution, God thinks that these things are necessary for us. These experiences are necessary for us in order that we will experience that, ultimately know or realize that it is unreal. Till that time, we have God, she wants us, we have to experience that all these things. The unreal. Taking the unreal as the real is our problem. So, because we think unreal is the real. So our idea should, God wants that, no, unreal is unreal. You should not think that unreal is real and think have attach some value to us, to that. This is what we do. God wants that I should not do. So for proper education, God has given all these things, etc. He has put us in this particular situation so that we have proper understanding, and then we know that this is unreal. It is not worth anything. And our idea should be to turn away from the unreal to the unreal. Just as you see, that theme was there, you see, asatoma sadgamaya. Lead us or take us from the unreal to the real. Because we are now, you see, bogged down with the unreal, which is wrong, which is incorrect for us. So that is why we pray that, you see, please take us from the unreal to the real. This is what is there. So for that only God wants that we should have some experience. So know that, you see, this is unreal. There it is not of any value to us. It has only trouble value. It will nuisance value. So this is what we don't know. We think that it is the right thing. It's a good thing to do. That is why we get, you see, involved in that. God wants that we must have this type of education, so that know that, you see, this is unreal. It is not of any value to us. It is not going to help us. So for this understanding, for this knowledge, for this type of education, God is putting us in that thing. That is why, you see, God has put us there. For what purpose you are saying that the soul is experiencing the unreal? Because of this. We should experience the unreal so that we know it is unreal. For that only God wants that we should have that experience. God has put us in this particular situation. Does it choose to? It is not that by our choice. You see, nobody would like to be put into trouble. If we know that, you see, this unreal is going to create any problem for us, we will not like to go near the real, near the unreal, or think that it is real. So it is only not by our choice, but we are not, but you see, we have been put there for our own education, etc. The soul doesn't choose to, but by its own wrong action, wrong understanding, it chooses to be in that particular situation, which is our predicament of all of us here now. All of us, you see, we are thinking only, we take the real as the unreal as the real and then start acting on that. This is precisely what we do. God, if we want to be free from that, we should change our vision, change our view of things, change, you see, our attitude of taking the unreal as the real. For that, God has put us in this particular situation. It is for our own education, for our better understanding, and our having right view and perception. For that, God has put us here. Is it sent to it? Is it sent to do it? Yes, in a way, yes. God has sent us here to do this, to have correct understanding of the unreal. For that, you see, God has sent us here for our own education. Is it simply playing a part in the grand drama of God, or is it educating itself? All these are correct. God has put us in this particular role so that we play a very important role in God's drama. In a way, yes. It is all, we are a part of God's drama only, all of us, acting in different ways, playing our own roles. It is all within the God's drama only. That is true from one point of view. And He is setting it. And being here, whether it is not by our own choice or decision that you see we are educating ourselves, but it is necessary. God knows that you see, such an education is necessary for us. That is why in His infinite grace, God has put us in this particular situation so that we learn, we educate ourselves in a proper manner, having the correct understanding and education. For that God has put us here. How does karma influence those choices above of experiencing the unreal? Does it impact choices of birth and where to be born? Yes, karma influences those choices of experiencing the unreal. Yes, it is only our own karma that places us in particular situations so that we learn from that. It is for our own education and also for of experiencing the unreal. We have to have a correct experience of the unreal so that we know the nature of the unreal and also finally be convinced that this is unreal. It is not of any use to us, it is no good for us. And then for all this learning, for all this understanding, God has placed us here. So this is how we should not say that we choose it, we choose to be here, etc. It is not our choice. We are actually helplessly made to be here according to our own past karmas. God is an individual soul cannot have its own choice. I want to be here, I want to go to heaven, I will go there, etc. By his own choice, you see, he cannot do that. But by his own karma, you see, he will go there. Our karma, his own karma only will take him either to the heaven or to hell. It is by his own karma only. So it is not his own choice, but his own activity, his own action, his own deeds. They only send him in a particular to the particular plane, also give him that particular experience. This is what you see. It is not by our own choice, but by our own activity and deeds. It is the deeds only which decide what will happen to us in future, where we will go, and what will be our next destination. All those things will come only by our deeds. This is what we should. It is not our choice. Left to our choices, some people go to hell. We think, shall we say that it is, yes, it is their choice that they are going to hell? No, their own karma only. Their deeds only take him there. Whether they like it or not, they have to go there. It is not by choice, but by our own deeds. Whatever we have done, that only will decide where to go. That is how we go, not by our own choice. Does it impact choices of birth and where to be born? Our choices don't, you see, impact that, but our deeds impact that. Our deeds only determine where we will go, where we will be reborn, and what will happen to us next, and what will be our birth, and where to be born. It is all by our own deeds, by God's will. According to our own deeds, God actually decides where we are fit to be. Accordingly, He sends us there. It is by God's will, God's decision, not our choice, but by our deeds. Is consciousness continually creating and evolving the drama in the now? Or is it pre-planned and pre-created? If not, who, what influences the drama? It is yes, this our consciousness only continually creating and evolving the drama, which is now, etc. that actually our own consciousness only plays in different ways, acts in different ways, and that is how it plays its role in that drama, and it also creates the drama to some extent, etc. So that is why we see is our consciousness is continuously creating that and evolving the drama in the now. Yes, it is because everything depends on our consciousness only. Whatever consciousness has been doing in whatever way it has been guiding us, that only we are doing it. And we get the result of that experience. All the experiences come as a result of our own consciousness acting in a particular manner. So it is our own consciousness only creating all this. Whether you see consciously or not deliberately, even then you see it is through the consciousness only, by the activity or action of the consciousness, that we are evolving or we are in different situations. It is pre-planned and pre-created. Yet, in one sense, it is all pre-planned and pre-created. Whatever God has planned, that only is happening now. And it has been pre-created to that extent, because all this that we see, they are all creation of God. God only has created everything. So it is all pre-planned and pre-created in that sense. Everything you see as God has willed, as God has planned, and He has created, that is all there we see now. It is all pre-planned by God, pre-created by God, including ourselves. We are also a part of that creation only. We are not independent of it, nor outside it, and we are fully a part of the whole thing. And then our existence itself is because of God only. So everything is pre-planned and pre-created by God. This is what is there. And then, is it, if not, what influences the drama? Nobody else influences the drama. It is only God. He is the supreme director. He is only, you see, directing the whole drama, and we play our part. What we play, you see, through our own karma and activities, then it leads further to, you see, what further experience we will have. That is our role. But it is all a part of the same pre-planned, pre-created drama of God. As God has, you see, done the whole plan and whole drama, we are all actors in that drama. Whatever is the drama, you see, we are playing our own individual roles. We are not independent of it. We are a part of the whole drama. This we should understand that. What influences the drama? It is only God. Who influences the drama? He also directs the whole thing. He also creates the whole drama in his mind. And that is how we see we are actually, then we come into play. And then we play our own role, etc. like this. It is all God's plan only, created by God, etc. And it is determined by our own our own karma. Whatever we have done, that only God gives us. According to our own karma, God gives us different roles to play in different situations. Our own karma and God's will, God's decision. God is the supreme director. What other levels, realms of or experiences are possible before the soul itself dissolves into unity? Or is the role of human the final stop at the station? What other levels, realms, or experiences are possible before the soul itself dissolves into unity? There is no hard and fast rule. There is no fixed rule. Everything depends on the soul's own activity, own action, whatever, on his own deeds. Whatever deeds we have already done, they only will decide what other levels of experience, other planes of existence we have to go through. All depends on our own karmas only. Of course, as per God's will, finally by God's will. But All our activities and karmas only decide what experiences or what other realms we have to pass through before we reach the final unity. Before we have unity with God, that is all individually, it is all separate from each individual, depending on one's own karma, our own way of thinking, our level of consciousness. So many factors are there. All those things jointly will decide. This is what we should do. And the role of the human, or is the role of human the final stop at the station? Yes. The role of the human is the final stop. That means, you see, the final stop means liberation. To have, you see, moksha or liberation, what we say, etc. Liberation is possible only for human beings. That way we are privileged, or you see, we are very fortunate. Think that it is only at the human level that the final last stop will come only at the human level. A human being only will be able to reach God. Nobody else will be able to reach God. We can have only liberation. Nobody else, no other species, including gods in heaven, they cannot have liberation. They have all to come to this world in order to be liberated. That way we should think how fortunate we are. By God's grace, you see, we are already here at the threshold of liberation. We are already there. God has put us here. It is by our own past karmas only. We deserve it. That is why God has put us here. But nobody else, no other species will be able to have liberation, including the gods who are supposed to be superior to us in some way. And we think that gods are, we say, superior. They are superior in some way. But liberation they cannot have. It is only our prerogative, our privilege. Human beings only can have liberation. So, before having final liberation, before, you see, stopping our further journey, etc., human state, you see, being born as human being, that is essential. It is only the human beings who can have liberation. But it is only human beings also who can go to hell. This is also there. It is all by our own deeds. God has, you see, created the whole thing. It is open to you. If you wish, you go to hell, or if you wish, you go to heaven, or if you wish, you can have liberation. Everything is possible at the human level only. As human beings, this we must understand. So, liberation is possible only for human beings. It is open to human beings only. That way we are very fortunate and blessed. God has given us the human birth, where there is a possibility of having liberation. We only are entitled or eligible for liberation. Eligible for liberation doesn't mean that it will come to you automatically. We have to do for doing whatever is necessary for having liberation, realization of God. They are all synonymous terms. That is what it is possible only for human beings. And that way we are blessed. This is a blessing of God. Like that it is there in our scriptures. That it is by God's grace that we have got human birth. It is in the human birth only liberation is possible. And we must now try to make full use of it, so that how we are liberated. Once we lose this human birth, who knows whether we will be able to go have again another human birth. Don't think that you say, yes, if I am not able to do anything now, in the next birth I will do it. Who knows whether we will be born as a human being? We can be a pig. There was that, you see, Indra had become a pig. In one question it was there. So, for Indra also it was possible to become a pig. What to speak of, you see, we small human beings. Anything is possible. The best thing is, the wisest thing is not to lose this opportunity. Try our best to realize in this birth. That is why Swami Shivananda Maharaj says, it is difficult to get a human birth, therefore try your best to realize in this birth. Swami Shivananda Maharaj clearly he says, this is the purpose of our life. This is the best use of our life. And this is the greatest advantage that we can take of being born as a human being. This we must remember and try our best. That is why he says, try your best to realize in this birth. This is what we should remember. So, how precious is human birth, how fortunate we are to be born as a human being, this we must always keep in our mind. And once this opportunity is gone, we don't know what is going to happen next. Why to take any risk? Why to take any chance? Now itself, you see, the wisest thing will be to utilize therefore, try your best to realize in this birth. That's what Swami Shivananda Maharaj says. This is what we should remember, that what other realms or experiences are possible before the soul itself dissolves into unity. Is the role of human the final stop at the station? This way we have discussed. But what other levels are or realms or experiences are possible before the soul itself dissolves into unity? We should not worry about it. Why we should think of going to some other level? If you go to some other level, again you have to come back here in order to have liberation. So why to go somewhere and having to come here again? The best thing is not to go anywhere. Here itself, this should be the final birth itself. This should be the final chance that we have got. This chance itself, we should try to realize God. That should be the attitude. Not worry about what other levels of experience we have to go. What other levels you have to experience, it depends on your own desires, on your own wishes. If you want to go to some other level, it is your choice. It is not necessary that every human being must go to other levels in order to, before liberation. It is not necessary. Rather, that is a waste of time. And that is going in a wrong direction. Why to go to somewhere? Again having to come here before liberation. It is only as a human being that we can be liberated. This we must know. So this is the door to liberation. And so our idea should be to make full use of this present human birth in order to realize. That's what Swami Shivananda said. Therefore, try your best to realize in this birth. Once we die, once we leave the human birth, thereafter we don't know what is going to happen to us. Why to do that? Here itself, when it is available to us, what we are doing, it is in our hands. We should try our best to realize in this birth. This is what should be our attitude. And no need to go to other levels, you see, to do some sightseeing. We do sightseeing here, there again to come back to this place, back to square one. It is only after coming to this as a human birth that we will be able to we can be liberated. This is a firm conviction. This is a firm decision of the teaching of the scriptures. This we must remember. Why to go somewhere else in order to come here? Not necessary. That is enough. We have already have sufficient to see experience of the human, not only human birth, of the world. Pleasure, pain, everything is there. And what is the use of having all that, etc.? Best thing is make use of it and then reach God. Try your best to realize God. This is what Swamiji was said. Try your best to realize God in this birth itself. This is what should be our attitude. Is there any real difference between the ego, mind, the pain, body and the soul? They are all unreal entities that would like to maintain their illusory existence and all made of consciousness. So, is the illusion of separation, that is a soul, any different? Here you see this real difference between the ego, mind, the pain, body and the soul. Soul is different from this. They are not the same thing, not in the same category. Although we only have all these things including the soul is different. But all the other things which are the ego, mind, pain, body, these are all, you see, they pertain to the nature. Prakriti it is called. They are made of the Prakriti or nature. From nature they have all come. But the soul is independent. Soul is doesn't have. It has not come from this from nature. Soul is a part of God. Soul is in the Gita. It has been said that soul is my own part. Like that he says. Soul is also is eternal. All these senses, ego, mind and all those things, they are not permanent. They are not eternal. They are perishable. They have all come from nature. But the soul is not from nature. Soul is a part of God. This we must understand. There is a distinction between the two. So soul actually, so the soul, they are all unreal entities. Soul is not unreal entity. Other things are unreal. Other things that you have mentioned there, they are all unreal. They would like to maintain their illusory experience, and all made of consciousness. All made of consciousness in one way, because it is only in the background of the consciousness that all these things are happening. It is only because there is a consciousness as the background. This mind, body, intellect and all those things are there, they have evolved only in the background of that consciousness. So consciousness is the steady factor, that is the permanent factor, and soul is a part of that consciousness. So soul is an independent entity. Soul is not like this mind, body, intellect and senses, all those things. It is not. Soul is different. This we must understand that. So they are all unreal entities that would like to maintain their illusory existence, and all made of consciousness. And as I said, everything is consciousness only. Even the mind, the intellect, the ego, and then this body, etc., they are all a form of consciousness only appearing to us in these particular forms, particular shapes, or in particular this levels of existence, levels of experience. But they are all there, only consciousness alone is appearing to us in all these forms. All these things, have their existence because of consciousness at the background. And it is only, they are all directed by consciousness. So ultimately, they are all consciousness alone. Other than consciousness, nothing else is there. It is only pure consciousness. In the background or the canvas of this consciousness, all these things are actually doing, the drama is taking place. Consciousness is essential, that is the background, that is the constant factor. This we must remember. So these things which are there, etc., so they are all unreal entities except the soul, that would like to maintain their illusory experience, and all made of consciousness. Yes, all are made of consciousness only. Everything is only consciousness. Other than consciousness, nothing is there, including ourselves. We are a part of that consciousness. We are not separate from consciousness. And in consciousness only we all evolve. We have evolved in that consciousness. This is what we must understand. So consciousness is the steady, constant factor inside all of us. In the background of that consciousness only, the whole drama of this world has been evolving, that is being played. Is the illusion of separation, that is a soul, any different? Soul is not an illusion. But we must know that soul is different from other things which are an illusion. All this mind, body, intellect and senses and all those things, they are a part of that illusion. In the consciousness or the constant factor of that background of consciousness, all these things are actually evolve, and ultimately they also disappear in that. So consciousness is the steady factor. Because of the consciousness, all these have been evolved, and it is only consciousness only evolving all these things. Ultimately, consciousness is all powerful. Consciousness is God Himself. So that consciousness only has the power to evolve all these things. It makes all these things possible and visible for us. That is what we should understand that. So is the illusion of separation, that is a soul, any different? Soul, is not. Soul is not separate from God. Soul is a part of God. It is an eternal portion of God. Its nature is the same as that of God. So this is the soul. But other things that we have mentioned, ego, etc., they are all, not a part of the soul. They are different from the soul. They are all, illusory appearances. Is there no difference? If there is no difference, then why would a soul want to surrender itself along with its other illusory parts? It must be the end of the world itself. It must be the end of its world as well. So, does it only happen when the soul is tired of the impermanence and suffering, has explored all worlds and possibilities, before it lets itself go into dissolution? Is the karma experiencing everything that can be imagined and possible until it lets go? Here you see this. We have just experienced that you see the soul is different. There is a difference between the other things which have been are the products of prakriti or nature, but the soul. Soul is eternal. Soul is a part of God. Soul has the same nature as that of God. This we must understand. Soul is eternal. So it is only all these experiences come to us. It is only does it happen when the soul is tired of the impermanence and suffering, has explored all worlds and possibilities, before it lets itself go into dissolution. Yes, it happens only when the soul is tired of the permanence and suffering. It is only for understanding that this is all a source of, you see, this that we get tired by this and also it is suffering. Till that realization come to the soul, this comes to the soul, you see, this experience is necessary. That is why God has given us all these experiences, so that we know that, you see, what is their nuisance value. You see, they are creating problem, they are not good for us. This conviction or this education is necessary for the soul. For that experience, God has put us in this particular situation, so that we have a correct understanding. Before and this and has explored all worlds and possibilities, before it lets itself go into dissolution. It is not necessary to explore all the worlds and possibilities. It is not necessary. It is sufficient if we know that all other worlds are also like this only. There is no need to have a specific experience of all the worlds and possibilities before we have unity or before we have dissolution. That is not necessary. If we have that correct understanding, that is enough. It is not necessary to undergo all that experience. This is what we should know. It is not necessary, but we must have a correct understanding that all the other things which are there, they are not necessary, they don't have much value, and in fact, you see, they can be source of trouble for us and for our bondage. If this conviction is there, they are all useless for our purpose, and they also, you see, have some trouble value. Knowing this, etc., it is not necessary to undergo all that experiences. It is not necessary. But we must have a knowledge that all other experiences are also like this only. They are not in any way different, although there may be marginal. Some difference may be there, but it is all the same. This conviction we should have. If that knowledge is there, that is sufficient. Is that karma experience everything that can be imagined and possible until it's let go? Karma experience, you see, everything. It is not necessary that karma need not experience everything. But if we have the understanding that, you see, all karma that we do, this is the nature of all this karma, that is sufficient for our purpose, for our understanding. If we have that, it is not necessary to undergo all that experience in other worlds and different worlds, etc. All those things are not necessary. But if you have a correct knowledge of all that, that is sufficient for our purpose. Once you are tired of the impermanence and suffering of the material world and ready to recognize your own illusion to rejoin the divine, is the path able to be accelerated, and how? Or do you always work out all your karma like a debt owed? Yes, being tired of this, having a feeling of being tired of the impermanence and suffering of the material world, is necessary. It is only when we are tired of all these experiences in the world that we have correct dispassion, correct understanding that they are not of any value to us, but they will create problem. We get bogged down, or we get, bound by all that. This experience is necessary. It comes only when we are tired of the whole thing, all this world, that they are not any useless. At that time, tired of, this impermanence and suffering of the material world. This is necessary. Otherwise, in our present state of thinking, we think that the material world is a nice thing. It's a place of, the joy, enjoyment. It is all very good, very nice things, etc. All these things, we have that feeling. That is not correct. It is only, a little sense pleasure, but it is not giving us real happiness. It can create a problem and lead to bondage. This conviction or this understanding has to be there for us. If we have acquired that, etc., till that time, all this experience is necessary. Until we have the feeling that all these things is useless and troublesome for us also, it brings about a bondage. We think that, the world is a source of happiness, whereas it is not. It is, they say that 1 ounce of pleasure is mixed with tons of pain in the world. This is what Gurudev Swami Shivanand Maharaj says. But we think that it is all happiness only, all joy only, all pleasure only. This is our mistaken notion. For that, for having a correct understanding, all this experience is necessary. It is only when we are tired of this and of this impermanence of all the experiences in the world, all the world itself or the suffering, till that time it is necessary. And at that time, the path will be, accelerated. Once we have that idea that it is all useless, it is creating problem for us, it is not going to be of any help to us. If it is not a source of happiness, but it's a source of pain. When we have this type of understanding and recognition of that, till that time it is necessary. Once we have that, thereafter the world will not be of any problem for us. It will not create any difficulty for us. That mistaken notion will not be there. So that is how, this is what we have to do. But it is not necessary that all our karma must be exhausted by us before we have realization. It is not so. There are 3 types of karma. One karma is, prarabdha it is called. That means, the results of the past karmas which have become ripe to be experienced in this world, in the present life. This is called prarabdha karma. That means, our deeds of the past, which have already, they have become ripe for being experienced by us. That is one type of karma. That has given result to our present birth, human birth. So, that has to be gone through by us. We cannot wish it away. We cannot avoid it. So, that prarabdha karma, or the result of the karmas which have started bearing fruit in this particular life, have to be experienced by us, have to be borne by us. This is what, we have to go through it. There is no other way. It is only by undergoing that experience that it will be exhausted. This is the prarabdha karma. That means the karmas or the deeds which have started are meant to be experienced in this particular life. The second set of karma is there, that this all the while we are experiencing the result of the past, we are still now starting doing some action now. We are engaging in new action also. The new action has to be experienced by us. The result of that will come to us. They cannot go away without being experienced. That also we must know. Third thing is, there is another set of karmas of the past which are not meant to be experienced by in this particular life. They are called sanchita karma, accumulated actions. Accumulated actions which are there in the bank balance, in the store, they are there. They have to be experienced by us. Only those experiences, the accumulated karmas, they can be burnt away by our understanding, by our realization. When we realize this, when a person who has realized, for him accumulated karmas in one flash, just they will all be burnt. Accumulated karmas which are still to be experienced, yet not have come to this particular present life for being experienced, they can be washed away just through our knowledge, through our realization. When a person realizes God, he has the final realization. All his past karmas which have not started bearing fruit in this particular, or they are not meant to be, experienced in this particular birth, they will all be burnt away by this realization. All accumulated karmas can be washed away in 1 second when we have realization. They will all go away, and then the past karmas which are there, that is future, they have, which are to be experienced in this particular life, they will have to be gone through. We have to experience that. Only through experience that can be exhausted. Third category will be there, which we are now doing new actions, new deeds that we are doing. It is called agami karma. Agami karma means karmas, which we are now doing. At the moment we are doing those actions, they are in our hands. The result of these new karmas, agami karmas, also have to be borne by us. But if you do a right action, if you do action in such a manner that the karma does not become a binding factor for us, that is in our hands, they will not have any bondage. They will not bring about any bondage for us. That is how these three categories of karma which are there, they have to be handled. As I said, the past karmas which are to be meant to be experienced in this particular life, we have to go through that. There is no choice. They have to be experienced by that. Second set of, the new actions that we do. Now we are doing new actions. Those new actions, they are in our hands. So we should not do anything wrong, any wrong action, and also do action in a spirit of detachment. As it has been, taught in the Bhagavad Gita, if we perform all our actions, present actions, in that spirit of detachment, as had been taught to us in the Bhagavad Gita, these actions will not be a binding factor for us. They will not bring about any bondage. So these new actions also will not be a source of bondage for us. So past karmas only will remain, those sanchita karmas, accumulated karmas, which are not meant to be experienced in this present life. And they are other than this prarabdha karma, which are to be experienced in this. Those actions can be washed away. They will be burnt through our realization. If we attain God, if we have God realization, all those actions in 1 second, they will all be burnt away. So, accumulated karmas can be burnt away like that through God realization. And the present birth, present life which are there, present activities that which we are doing now, they are in our hands. We should do it in such a manner that they will not bring about any bondage, they will not be a problem for us. And the present karma which is there to be experienced by us from the past life, prarabdha karma, that has to be gone through. In this way, we can be free from karmas. These are the three categories. How these three categories of... so all our karmas, if we do in this particular spirit, with this understanding, karma will not be a source of bondage to us anymore. We will be free from all bondage. So, once we have realized that, once you are tired of the impermanence and suffering of the material world and ready to recognize your own illusion, to rejoin the divine, is the path able to be accelerated? And how? Yes, it can be accelerated, whatever you see, by through spiritual practices, and then give our mind only to God, and then taking God or this realization as our main purpose of life. And if we lead our life in such a manner that it will be in keeping with that, that is the way how we can accelerate our path to God and also reach the destination. And do you always work out all your karma like a debt owed? All our karma need not be worked out. We have just discussed what karmas will have to be worked out by us. All other karmas which are there, they need not be, gone through the whole thing and then one by one, then only we will go. It will take millions of years. And millions of births also will. It is not necessary. And just, then reach that wisdom, that realization. When we have realization of God, all other karmas which are there pending, they are there in the bank balance. Or you see this in the book of that debtor. So they all will be washed away through our karma, through our realization. So accumulated karmas can be washed away or burnt away through our realization. And then this prarabdha karma which have started, past karmas which have started bearing their fruit in this present life, or they are meant to be realized, so that will go only through our experience. There is no other way, no alternative. And future action that we are doing, that is all in our hands now. How we are doing it, we should do it in such a manner that they will not be a source of bondage. In this way, we can be free from all bonds of karma. These are the ways. There is no other way. This we must try to find out. So it is not necessary that all our karmas have to be gone through one by one and then only they will be exhausted. It is not like that. These are the things in which way, in bulk, you see, all the actions also can be burnt away. You have still got time. If we must work out your karma, if you must work out your karma, how do you access and resolve karma not originally planned for this lifetime? If that is how it works, does it only become accessible once you have resolved this life is karma? We have now discussed, you see, how all these remaining karmas can be resolved, can be dissolved. That is what we have discussed. This will all come only if you have correct understanding, if you do the right actions, and also, you see, have realization of the self or God realization. It is only then that everything will go. No karma will remain further. What is the purpose of resolving karma? To balance the scales for the pendulums of the humans to swing, or to ensure any desires and lingering doubts are met. The purpose of resolving the karma is that the karmas are burnt away, they don't create any problem for us. Now we have discussed how the different karmas can be, you see, resolved, how they can be washed away or they can be burnt. If we do all that, it is only our purpose is that karma will not be a source of bondage for us. It should not have any binding effect. With that, you see, we will have to do all this, etc. Different types of karma also we have decided. That is the purpose for it. And resolve the karma not originally planned for this lifetime. That also we have talked about, this accumulated karmas. They are all there. How they will be worked out. They will be washed away. And it only become accessible once you have resolved the life's karma. We have discussed all that, you see, different aspects. I think that is clear. What is the purpose of this resolving karma? To balance the scales for the pendulum of human to swings, or is to ensure any desires and lingering doubts are met. No, purpose of resolving the karma is not to ensure that whatever desires are still there, you will be able to go through that, etc. It is not so. Our idea is to understand that desires are not good for us. We should not have any desires. These desires are the sole source of trouble for us. They will bring about a bondage. Not to have any desires. That is the purpose of that. And the purpose of resolving the karma is do the karma in such a manner that they do not be a source of bondage for us. Resolving the karma is whatever accumulated karmas are there, how they can be burnt away. So that those karmas will be resolved in that particular way. And we have just discussed, by realization all past karmas, accumulated karmas will be dissolved. They will be burnt away. This is what we should do. Resolving karma is like this. Different sets of karma will be resolved in different ways. Same thing will not apply to everything. For different types of karma, as we have just discussed, different treatment is necessary, different approach is necessary, and different ways are there to resolve all that karma. What does it look like to resolve your karma? To stop creating new ones by giving all actions up to God in recognition. Yes, it is there. It looks like the resolving the karma means, you see, the karmas will not have any binding effect on us, will not create any problem for us, trouble for us. That is the purpose of resolving karma. Different ways are there, but then to balance the scales, it is not for balancing the scales. For the pendulum of humans to swing, it is not for resolving the balance the scales, but remove those, not to put those karmas on the scale at all. That is what our idea should be. That not allow karma to have any effect on us. How to treat all these particular types of karma in different ways so that they don't have any binding effect on us, they don't create any problem. That is the purpose. Not for balancing the scales. It is not necessary. Why to go into all that? What does it look like to resolve your karma? To stop creating the new ones by giving all actions up to God in recognition. To experience and balance everything. Again, the same thing. That is resolving karma means, you see, this first, yes, not creating new karma. New karma which will cause and bring about bondage for us, that type of karma we should not do. Or we should not do the actions in that way, by which these karmas will be have a binding effect on us. Like that we should do. That is what resolving karma, etc. And then at the same time, all actions that are giving up to God in recognition, yes. Surrendering all actions to God, offering all actions to God, and then you see taking it as a worship of God, all those things are there. If we offer all our actions and surrender all our actions to God, then that will be a help for us so that the actions do not have any binding. Once we surrender all these actions to God, they will cease to be having any binding effect on us. This is what is there. That is true. To experience a balance, everything, it is not necessary. It is not necessary for us to either to experience all these things or to bring about any balance between 1 and 2, etc. It is not necessary. Let us not worry about that. Our idea should be these karmas should be washed away. They should be burnt. They should not have any effect on us. That is the purpose of resolving karma, etc. Can a householder resolve all of their karma while living an apparently normal material life, as in recognizing in each moment the unreality and surrender? Or does it require entirely renouncing the material world? How is anything supposed to go about? How is anyone supposed to go about their life with the recognition that everything is unreal? Is there a purpose or activity to be done, lessons to be learned, or is all of that also simply a part of the drama and attachment to be surrendered? Yes. Overall, taking in a view is that all of that is only simply a part of the drama and attachment to the surrender. This is the truth. This is the correct. This is the purpose of everything that we do, etc. But then, can a householder resolve all their karma while living an apparently normal material life? Yes, it is possible. For all the householders also, a householder also can resolve all his own karma, as in recognizing in each moment the unreality and surrender. Yes, this is one way of surrendering all this, resolving all their karma. They should think that it is all unreal. It is all going in the unreal the world only. So they have no reality in themselves. So we should not attach too much importance to that, nor also get involved too much in that. Or you see, to be attached to that. Those things have to be there because it is all going on in an unreal world. If it is all unreal, why to have any attachment to the unreal? This conviction should be there. This understanding should be there. So recognizing in each moment the unreality unreality of this karma, of the world and everything, and surrendering to God. If we do surrendering to God, all these things it will be possible for us to do, for us to achieve, etc. And surrender. Or does it require entirely renouncing the material world? It is not necessary to renounce the material world. It is not necessary here. Yes, renouncing is necessary, not physically, but you see, mentally. Everybody, every householder or every person should have a mental attitude of renunciation. Mentally, one must be, you see, this not having any attachment to anything, and should also renounce the whole, everything that we do. One should be able to have detachment and also renounce mentally. Mental renunciation is more important than physical renunciation. If one has a material mental renunciation, whether one is in the world or not in the world, whether one is doing it or it is not doing, will make no difference for him. So mental renunciation is more important, that is necessary, and that is possible for everybody. Whether even a householder also should be able to mentally renounce. Within your mind, you see what you are doing, nobody else will know. You can only just say, yes, sir, I am mentally, you say, I have renounced everything. I am not attached to anything. And all those things, consequences, one is to do that. If it is only, you see, this mental renunciation is more important than physical renunciation. If this mental renunciation only should be our ultimate goal, our objective. Whether one is able to renounce it physically, any action physically or not, is not very important. Important is mental renunciation. Our idea should be to mentally renounce everything, have mental renunciation. Even for a householder also, this is what it is easy to do. Mentally you renounce all that, etc. And outwardly there will be no problem for you. What you are doing through your mind, nobody knows. You just go on renouncing everything. Renouncing means not having attachment to anything. Having mental detachment, and also not doing anything which is wrong. A person who mentally renounces, or he wants to renounce all this karma, he cannot do anything wrong. So we must remember. Always do right thing. What is correct and right, that only we should do. That action also that we are doing, that should be mentally renounced. Not be attached to anything, and also not being affected by what is happening, what is the outcome of that. As is the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, whether success or failure doesn't matter, since we have already renounced. Success or failure will not make any difference for us. If a person who has renounced, according to the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, he should take success and failure in the same light. If we succeed, well and good. If we fail, that is also all right, no problem. Heavens are not going to fall. Things are not going to happen, something like that one must have an understanding. So that is the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. There he says, success and failure one must take with an evenness of mind. We have to have an even mind for all these things, success and failure. And then you see victory and defeat, and then you see the pleasure and pain, loss or gain, all those things are there, it is in the Bhagavad Gita. This attitude one has to have. So we are not affected by anything which is happening in the world. We should have a mental renunciation. If you have that mental renunciation, having mental detachment from everything in the world, then you see nothing will affect us at all. Our mind will be always calm. This is what is necessary. That is why he says that. So how is anyone supposed to go about their life with the recognition that everything is unreal? If everything is unreal, we should not be affected by anything. And then we should also not worry what is going on there in the world, what is happening in the world, what anybody is doing in the world, why it should affect us. If you have correct understanding, that you see, we are not taking that it is all unreal. It is all happening in the unreal only. All that is happening, that is also unreal. If you can have that conviction, that understanding, that is the best. Then we see we will not be affected by anything that happens in the world. And we will not also be attached to anything in the world. Everything, it is all unreal. Why you should be attached to things which are unreal? If that understanding is there, if we ask ourselves, there is no need to be attached to anything in the world. Mark, you see, anything in the world. That means